All right, here's that patty of clay that was slip, and I put in between some kind of fine surface textured fabric. You're going to see that it's kind of dried out around the outside, but it's probably still a little wet in the middle. So a nice thing to do here is you can actually take it, and you're going to have to wedge it anyway, so cutting it up really doesn't matter. And this way, the little layer of moisture that's still left in the middle gets kind of distributed throughout the whole thing. So I'm kind of breaking it and putting it back together, pushing it together. That way that kind of liquidy spot that was in the middle gets nice and distributed. And then we're back to that process of wedging. Now, often, if the clay is kind of too wet when you're doing this ram's head wedging, it'll want to stick to your board. And so if you do get some clay, or look at this, look, I got a splinter from my board. You guys, your boards are pretty worked in, so you shouldn't be getting any splinters. Good idea to get this out. But the worst thing that's going to happen is this will be in your clay or in your piece, and it'll just burn out in the firing. All right, a little piece of the plywood. Yeah, this is a not a very nice board that I have. Remember, with the ram's head wedging, after you've wedged for a while, you turn it upright. You want those folds to come down facing you. Again, what I stopped talking about when that splinter happened was that if you get some clay sticking to the board, all you do is you can just scrape that clay up if it's too wet, and you can put it back on the clay and kind of, work it back in. And then if you get an area of your board that's too wet, you'll have to move to a drier area. Also, from time to time, scraping your board and washing your board and then letting your board dry is also a good idea. But so you can see here that if I keep folding this clay over itself, it's going to naturally kind of mix it. And, this would be the last step of making any piece of clay that you've worked with, whether it's a bunch of little bits that you had that are still wet enough to wedge with, and you want to put them all back together in one chunk to make a large slab or whatever you're doing. Wedging is the last step. And folding this clay over itself a good 50 to 100 times is really what is necessary. All right. And you see those folds are happening on the side facing me. That is most important. It's a nice rhythm. You want to be about waist high with this. Sometimes it's even good to do like on the ground. You could put your board down in the grass and get on your knees. That way your weight is kind of over the clay. You're not pushing over the backside though. You're always folding it towards you. And then a really cool thing to do after you've wedged for a while is to take your string, and sometimes it's fun to cut a squiggly line, but then you have to wedge more, of course, and just kind of check the inside. Do I have any noticeable air pockets? How does the clay look? Does it look like there's a real soft spot here and a real hard spot there? So yeah, it's fun breaking clay with a wire, how it goes back together. But now I have to wedge again, of course, so I'm putting these two pieces of clay together. But it shouldn't be that bad because they're pretty homogeneous. All right, that's it.